necessarily tribal or regional.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Now, let's take a look at the dailies on Daybreak. We have quite a number of stories here of interest. If you take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, you would find the issue about ASU strike. Now, federal government, ASU disagree as Buhari directs end to strike in 2 weeks. It has the writers that says, we won't sit with Labour minister. That's according to the union. And then NLC continues mobilization for protest. We won't accept disparity in varsity workers' salaries, SANU. And then you look at below the masthead there, reactions as Buhari unveils new NNPC. 2023 elections will be the best ever in Nigeria's history, Professor Yakubu. You find that on page 10. Inflation, CBN warns of further tightening, hikes interest rate to 14%. You also find the pictorial there basically showing you the unveiling of the new NNPC now that we have in Nigeria. It's now a company, a limited company, no longer under the government. And then you also have beside that, kidnapped Kaduna Catholic priest, 5 villagers killed. Naira falls to 630 Naira to $1 at parallel market. And then ISWAP releases Eid celebration video, vows more jail breaks, jail attacks rather. So these are the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, now let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper, it has a lead story that says, Osun Port Tribunal, Oyetola pencils 50 lawyers, APC Adeleke trade words. It has a writer that says, Oyetola's legal team to consist of 50 lawyers or more. This is coming from a senior advocate. Don't tamper with election materials to favor APC, Adeleke warns INEC. Another writer says, you are only afraid of your shadow, APC berates Governor-elect Adeleke. And then below that, we have a pictorial and the story that says, Buhari unveils NNPC Limited as agency halts FAC remittances. Under that, there's a story that says how Nigeria can make vaccines. This is coming from Okonjo Iweala. Scholarships, FG defaults, PhD scholars stranded. And then we have a story that says panic as Lagos fuel tanker explodes, destroys vehicles. At the top, right above the masthead of the Punch, we have Muslim ticket, Adeboye back scan, PFN. APC unveils Shatima today. We also have a story at the top right, outcry as CBN raises benchmark interest rate again. And right beneath here, there's a story that says, families mass up demand justice for slain Imo youth. Lagos policemen on illegal duty, handcuff, brutalized punchman. And also, there's a story here, federal government alerts ports, land borders over Marburg virus. These are the major stories on the Punch newspaper.
All right. All right, let's get perspectives on some of the stories we've seen on these to the Punch and Daily Trust. We have our guest reviewer, Ben Shema, the Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, in the studio with us to give perspectives. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
Thank you for having me.
Well, a lot of issues really, starting with the new NNPC. Yesterday we saw the unveiling of the NNPC that is now to be considered more like a private company. A lot of reactions have trailed that, unveiling by the federal government. What's your take on the rebranded NNPC?
Well, Buhari started by saying NNPC itself started when he was Minister of Petroleum. He came on board, and of course the Petroleum Industry Act Of course, he did the signing. And today, NNPC that was unbundled now will have the new NNPC Limited. And I can see that the promising, the crux there is energy today, energy tomorrow, energy forever. These are all promises. Now, we are left to see whether that will be done. If we put it side by side, the unbundling of NEPA, where it was changed to generating companies, transmission, distribution, and all that. Now, we are left to see if in the end, you know, there's this accusation that NNPC might likely be what NEPA has become, where some people decided to go privatization and they sold it to themselves. But today we are seeing a limited company for now. It's not yet PLC. And be that as it may, we expect that experts will now run this company. It's been unbundled. We expect that petrol will be available. We expect that the refineries should be able to work. And if they are saying energy today, tomorrow, and forever, of course, where are the indicators in all of that? But again, it starts with the paperwork. And the paperwork has been done. And they're saying it is the largest single oil company in Africa. And so it shouldn't just be the largest, but there's always hope, bearing in mind that what Lagos used to be during the days of Michael Otedola, NRC governor then, he said Lagos, the center of excellence, and you could see heaps of, refuge here and there. At the point he said, it's going to be for the future. And Lagos has turned out to be one of the centers of economic activities in Africa. So if we say it's going to be energy today and forever, I think it's a good vision. But again, who are the technocrats? Who are the experts involved in ensuring that it works?
Exactly the question that a lot of people have been asking. Yes, we've heard a lot of promises. In fact, also the promise to even increase the number of outlets to about 1,500, and all that. Yes, so they are there. But the question on the lips of, a lot of people who have, reacted to this is that the issue of corruption in NNPC is what is the major problem there that has not allowed a lot of things to happen. And so they've argued that there are still the same people in charge, of operations, regardless of the rebranding of the NNPC. So when you look at arguments like that, are they right to have that,
Of course, Nigerians and even the international community will feel that, okay, we're seeing a new company, but those who are in charge or were in charge of the old one have simply crossed over to be in charge of the new one. So a man who has soiled his hands with oil is now handling some very white clothes or clothing. Of course, it's going to be stained. But when Buhari is the African Union christened him and appointed him champion against the fight against corruption in Africa, we expect that many things that are wrong in NNPC, we ought to have been seeing visitations by the anti-corruption agencies in those areas, EFCC, ICPC. They should kind of ensure that NNPC works according to how it was created and why it was created. We expect that the National Assembly should be doing more of these oversight functions. But all we hear, they appear to be sleeping partners when it comes to stakeholders of the oil industry in Nigeria. So the fear is genuine. We ought to see that some heads should be rolling. Why should there be every year turnaround maintenance? We don't see these refineries working. Money is appropriated for, money is sent there, and we don't see it working.
Okay, but it's a new corporation now, it's a new entity now, so maybe, it remains to be seen what's going to happen going forward. However, some experts have expressed concern that, okay, have said that it's one thing to unveil the new NNPC, but that for it to for it to actually make impact and actually cause the change that you want in the oil sector, there must be full implementation of the PIA. Because when you talk about PIA, all everybody has been talking about is the new NNPC becoming limited. But how about the other sections, the other provisions of the PIA?
Yeah, you see, Stella, all that it takes is a willing man. And that willing man knowing his onions. I stand by this, I implement it, and in terms of appointment, there's always what you call card-carrying capacity. You appoint people who indeed know what they want to do, or they ought to do, and they therefore ensure that the company works. But when appointments are done by way of some region, by way of religious consideration, by way of political affiliations and patronages, then there is a problem. We expect that experts should just be appointed. And the president is saying, look, it will be run in terms of best practices when you look at it globally. But globally, you see that some other countries, they are making it work. If this is therefore the first step, so be it. It's left to be seen, like you said. We will give them the benefit of the doubt. We can't say no as we start.
So at the moment, what should we expect? The PIA has been suspended for 18 months, if I remember. So the PIA is not in what do you call it now? It's not active at the moment as we speak. So what do Nigerians expect to see now that we have a new NNPC? Will it translate into maybe the availability of diesel now, or the availability of petrol now, or what? Because those are the things that Nigerians are looking at for. I mean, we are talking about aviation fuel. People are, the airlines are suspending operation and all of that. And now we have a new NNPC. So what? What then happens?
Yeah, what then happens? Look at the political terrain, where you have society-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, non-state actors. You see the pressure brought to bear on INEC. And today INEC is saying 2023 election is going to be the best. We are hoping it's going to be. Now, can we at the point shift attention from politics to pay attention to this economy? Can we begin to hold some people to account? If yes, the act has been suspended. Why? Let people of note, let stakeholders, rev the engine of how to make this economy work, so that you put the government on a scale. You put the government on front burner, so that they account for their actions, they account for their inactions, and of course we'll reach somewhere. But if there is a layback, a kind of, I don't care whatever they do, it's not my government, but it affects you. So if we expect Nigerians, irrespective of political parties, irrespective of whatever professions, let's look at this economy. If you look at petrol, the moment there is a strike, just one day strike, look at the ripple effect on the economy, the banking sector, transportation, and all that. So we expect people to come on board, people of note, people of conscience, who want this nation to be what we are known for, big brother Africa, giant of Africa.
All right, talking about petrol, even at the function yesterday, it was announced that the petrol is now going to sell above 165 naira. In fact, as the rates are now, different regions have different rates depending on distance and, from where they are lifting the petrol to where they're actually going to sell. What is your take on that?
Well, you see...
Is it going to tackle the crisis that we have?
It may not necessarily tackle, but in the real sense, if somebody lifted petrol from Lagos and is supplying in Oyo State or Ogun State, look at the distance and how much the person spends. If someone lives from Lagos and you are taking it to Maiduguri, look at the distance. Of course, it's economy. It's the economic angle that will be looked at. But having said so, you see, when things of this nature are coming on board, we expect that stakeholders, look at the unions, Nupeng, all of them, you bring them on board. Look at ASU, look at TUC, you bring them on board. Don't forget the student angle in all. I see them blocking some streets in Plateau. We expect that a thing of this nature, you first of all do consultations. That's what we call a public policy communication. When you want to do this, you fly a kite, you drop it in the ocean, let people debate, and from the debate, government is now thinking. They've seen what really the thinking of the population is, and when the government is sensitive, it follows the public view.
All right. Let's take a look at the lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper, talking about the ASU you just mentioned. There seemed to be a disagreement. The president yesterday had a meeting where he gave a directive to the Minister of Education to ensure the resolving of this crisis in the next 2 weeks and all of that. And ASU is also responding. They are saying that they don't want to sit with the Minister of Labour, and then a lot of issues were raised there. Back in February, we had also how that the president gave a directive for a 3-man panel to be set up and look into the issues of ASU. This is July. So why should we believe that something is going to come out of this now?
Well, let us look at some basic ingredients on this directive by the president. All the while, you don't get to hear the Minister of Education in this matter. All this while, it has been labor. Now the president is saying, Minister of Education, ensure, it's now a directive, that this crisis is ended within 2 weeks. And within that context, ASU is also saying we'll have nothing to do with the Minister of Labour. So that means in terms of negotiations, it's like the minister is not doing it very well. And of course, when we have a crisis of this nature, or where there are crises all over the place, when you go for negotiations, as you are going, yes, you go that your demands are going to be answered 100%, but you have to give some losses.
As way forward now the president has given the Minister of Education 2 weeks. But he said that the Minister of Labour should be part of that negotiation. ASU is now saying that they don't want the minister there. In your view, what should happen? Do you think that they should ask the Minister of Labour to step aside so that it can go on, or what's your view?
No, that would be an indictment on the Minister of Labour himself, and bearing in mind the collective responsibility of an executive council, I think it should be all-encompassing, so that, like I was saying, it should be give and take. If you came with 100% demands, 10%, 10 items or 100 items that you want them done, look, there should be some areas where you can do some losses so that some other people, government too, will do some losses and will reach somewhere. I doubt if government will give 100%, and I doubt if Labour will insist on 100%. But I think that there has to be a way out of this. It has lingered for too long, and we again expect that stakeholders will come on board. I saw that individuals, including even radio stations at the point, either they gathered and said, we were going to do their own contribution, but NLC, ASU called the bluff and said, look, we don't need your intervention. And so when some people feel they should intervene, A is bringing his, B is bringing his, D is bringing hers, we think that there should be a point of convergence so that this problem is resolved once and for all.
In any case, it doesn't look like the NLC is backing down on its proposed protest that is going to take place 26th and 27th of this month, because and again, we are talking NLC, not just NLC, but even other unions in the aviation sector are also threatening to also join in this, protest and all of that. So it doesn't look like the beginning of this negotiation is going to put an end to the crisis. If anything, it looks like we are in for a much more tougher days ahead. SANU is also threatening that they will not accept disparity in the varsity workers' salaries. So assuming now that the committee set up to look at the salaries, I think the BRICS committee set up to look at, to review the salaries of lecturers, with SANU now coming to threatened that they are not going to accept that. So even if ASU eventually gets, all the demands sorted, it looks like SANU is going to now embark on its own strike.
And not just SANU, you also have NASU, Non-Academic Staff Union. And I think that let us face some realities. If in a hospital, I might sound offensive, here is a doctor who takes care of HIV patients, who takes care of the crazy people around, who takes care of all sorts of infectious disease patients, and they are capable of infecting them. When a pharmacist is also in one store giving medicine and all that, he said, no, we should be treated the same way. When you look at the university system, a professor is there, look at the research he puts in and all that. Somebody is in administration. And he said, look, we have to be given the same salary. It's like when you are in broadcasting, some people go into some peculiar allowances because while others are asleep, they are still working in the night. There is rain, there is bomb blast, there is kidnapping. The journalists will go there and bring out this news. So they have to have what we call peculiar allowances. But the admin officer who is enjoying his AC over there is now saying we have to be paid the same way the editorial staff are being paid. So when senior staff as SANU is insisting that even when the universities will get this, there shouldn't be disparity, we have to receive the same thing, it's another ball game. So we should be able to bring everything on the same table, discuss it at the same time, so that we don't finish ASU matter only to go for SANU. After SANU, let's go to NASU. It will not do so well for Nigeria. It should be treated one-stop shop so that all complaints are listened to at the same time, and let's see whether these 2 weeks will work. We expect that the experts in terms of conflict management, crisis communication, we bring them on board. People in charge of negotiations, mediations, and all sorts of people, bring them on board. Where are all VCs those days? Where are they? Those who never had strikes. Where are old ASU presidents who never had strike? Bring them on board. Let's see what is going on.
All right, let's take a look at another newspaper, this time the Nation newspaper. Let's see what they are leading with today. They also have the story saying ASU, Buhari orders Ngige to hands off negotiation. Education Minister gets 14 days to resolve crisis. 1 million monthly pay likely for professors. Then there's a rider from that says, ASU, government doesn't need 2 weeks to end strike. Then SANU warns against disparity in salaries. Then beneath that, there's a story that says, Tinubu picked Shatima for public good. We also have a story at the top here, CBN to sanction customers converting Naira to dollar. Then at the top, right at the top of the masthead, Masari rates government agencies low on security. Plans underway to reposition NDDC. This is coming from the new Minister of Niger Delta, Umana. Then we also have another story here. 57% of electricity consumers on estimated billing. VP Oshibajo recovering fast, says hospital. These are the major stories on The Nation for today.
All right. If you take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning, quite similar stories there as well. The lead story, it says, high, low expectations as Buhari unveils new NNPC. You also have above that, local airlines seek 40% fuel surcharge, waivers as Jet A1 hits 822 naira per litre. ASU knocks Buhari for ordering minister to end varsity strikes in 2 weeks. Gunmen kidnap Alao Akala's farm supervisor in Ogbomosho, demand 100 million naira ransom. You also have uproar over killing of 14 Imo youths in our Omama. And then you have also other stories at the beneath the pictorials there. APC unveils Shetima as Tinubu's running mate despite opposition, and NMA laments mass exodus of doctors, health workers from Ondo.
Okay, so let's take a look at the story. Let's get perspective now. There was this story that says that Masari rates federal government agencies low on security. What do you say to that? I mean, Masari is the governor of Katsina, and he's also a member of the APC.
Yeah, you see, when you have the National Statistics Bureau assessing government and saying government has failed in so area, failed in this area, doing well in that area, I mean, you take it seriously because it's a government agency. Now we're having Governor Masari, who at the point, yes, he was elected, give you security, employment, education, health, and all that stuff. Now, at the point security became an issue, he felt he could negotiate with some of these bandits. He tried, and of course he was even buying, I mean, some of the tools, look, war weapons they had. Take this money, surrender this to government so that we now have peace. We give you training. Now, he has realized that it failed there. Now, government failed. Instead of this carrot approach, now let's use the stick, the kinetic approach to ensuring security. It is also not working. So the man is saying it is just a failure on it. So if someone in government is saying all of this, it does not give us hope.
If someone in government is saying this, does that mean that he's saying there's more that could have been done that's not been done? Is that what he's trying to say?
Yes, if like it is always said, never underrate opposition. No matter how big you are, you see a councillor vibrating and opposing you, but find out what is happening as early as possible. The warning signals were there. What did you do? So when this farmer had started, it ought to have been nipped in the bud right from the word go. But some people rather interpreted it the other way around. More so when it's happening in a community that didn't even vote for you, you feel that, oh, it's like they deserve it. So I think that they ought to have nipped this thing in the bud early enough. I mean, people saw it, people read it, they were told about it, and communities complained, district heads complained, village heads complained, and these things reached the state security services. They wrote reports and gave government officials. So we expected that government should have taken action immediately, prompt actions, workable actions. And if you're talking of equipping the security agencies, please do. You're talking of training them, please do. When they say this is what we need, it shouldn't be that, yes, we have approved. When you approve, money should follow. And when money follows, let the correct equipment also follow.
All right, so briefly, let's take a look at some more papers, the Nigerian Tribune, the Sun, and also the Leadership newspaper, who have also some more other stories. The Nigerian Tribune, it leads with the same ASU story. It says, strike continues, ASU adamant, union insists on UTAS signing of renegotiated agreement, resolve ASU issue within 2 weeks, Buhari tells education minister. Quite a number of stories. And then, of course, the Buhari unveils new NNPCL orders transfer of assets. You also have the Sun newspaper that leads with the Buhari gives Adamu 2 weeks to end ASU strike. You have our mama killings, youths barricade Owerri Onitsha Road. Adeboye denies endorsing Tinubu, stands by Khan's directive. And then the Leadership newspaper, it says, after 156 days of industrial action, PMB gives education minister 2 weeks to end varsity strikes. You also have just below the masthead, a new NNPC unveiled for Nigeria's energy security. You have interest rate to rise as inflation rises, according to the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee. You have also, we will reposition NDDC to achieve core mandate, says Umana. 2023 election will be Nigeria's best, INEC vows, FG Mom, as marketers raise petrol pump price to 185 naira per litre. Airlines dump low demand routes as jet A1 nears 900 naira per litre. So we're hearing different figures. One says 900 naira per litre, another says 800, another says 720 thereabout. So which is correct now? You know, the different papers are having different numbers as regards the price of jet
The
A1.
underlying factor is the crisis in that sector.
Exactly.
So, but what should we be doing really to save the
Exactly.
situation? Some are saying that, you know, there's this surcharge, 5% surcharge should be, you know, the deduction of that surcharge should be stopped, so that that can help the airline operators stay afloat.
Yeah, you see, I think that government should also come on board properly. Situations where unions will just fix prices of items or services arbitrarily without due recourse to law.
Do you really think that is the situation in this case?
Still, here you are, the same commodity, you bought the same source, your price is this, the other person's price is
The
this.
difference in the prices is not a lot. The point is that the price is high right now. What can be done? Because
Yes, and that's exactly where I'm going to. There are places, there are agencies you call weigh and measure. There are, commodity prices, for example. Government will always peg and say this is the highest you can go. Not that some vulcanizers association would just wake up today, this is the price. You have a barbing saloon, this is the price. And here we are, these fuel marketers and those who live to will just wake up and just say, we have decided this is the price and it is cast in stone. We can't go down and we can always be going up, up, up. And in Nigeria, whatever has gone up never comes down. So I think government should come out clearly to say this is how it should work. And look at even prices with electricity. Before you know it, these people will say, the law says after so months, we should increase prices in terms of unit consumption of electricity. We need government to a kind of have laws that will control prices in the price control, so to speak. You don't just wake up. The same bag of fertilizer, for example, 50 kg, you are selling it 30,000 in Nasarawa, is 10,000 in KB, it's 15,000 in Ogbomoso. Right. I think government should come with a unified kind of price mechanism system.
All right, thank you so much, Ben Chema, Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, for joining us on Daybreak this morning and sharing your perspectives on some of these new stories on the front pages. With that, we've come to the end of this segment. Stay with us as we take a short breather. When we come back, we'll take a look at the headlines again on the hour. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that they look like the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that